what is going on here, Alan?
Okay, let's pull this baby up. 69.
So you put together a chart of the box office, was very insignificant to the total box office. So
yeah,
what is this?
let me just bring the chart up one more time. I've got to be upfront and honest. Some of my numbers were off, and so I have updated it. But you can see that China consists of 5% of the top 10 movie box office from last year, resulting in a total of $100 million going to studios. The item of note here is Godzilla versus Kong, which I misreported it, but it made 124 million, which was 23% of the box office. The reason that's significant is because China was a partial owner of Legendary at the time Godzilla versus Kong came out, and so I believe it got a push that other films wouldn't have gotten.
Gotcha.
So you're looking at, you take Kong versus Godzilla out of it. China is roughly $80 million of total box office last year that went to the studios, because I'm taking the 25% here. But let's get to the article. And here we go. The article comes from The Wrap. And it says, film industry takes latest China threats in Trump trade war in stride for now. When asked about China's plan to cut back on Hollywood's films it approves for release in the theaters in response to its tariffs, President Donald Trump responded with a chuckle, saying, "I think I've heard of worse things." Trump may not have been friends in Hollywood, but based on what studio insiders have told The Wrap on Thursday, the response from the film industry to China's move against them is closer to the president's outright indifference than any significant worry. That's because Hollywood has already largely made the adjustment to life without China after the country decoupled its rapidly rising market from American imports during the last surge of political tensions in the early stages of Joe Biden's presidency. Look, only 8 U.S. films grossed over $100 million in China since 2021. The biggest being Avatar: The Way of Water. But 8 films over $100 million. And let me see. Yeah, I think
or 100 million, or 1/3 of a Snow White.
Right. 2019 Hollywood films that topped over 100 million. Endgame was 632 million. That's from China alone. Hobbs and Shaw 208. Let me see. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the gist of it. But apparently Hollywood agrees with us and has long since moved on from China. China not being a big player.
Well,
look, and then China has already confirmed that they are reducing the number of U.S. films going into Chinese theaters to, I believe, a dozen. So, and the impact is going to be minimal. I mean,
can I tell you why?
Why?
Part of, and every country outside the U.S. understands this. They make movies about their culture, to export their culture. When you see a French film, like a film like Amélie, is very French. In fact, the director recently came out and said he couldn't do a follow-up to Amélie or do Amélie 2 because Paris is ugly now. But you make films about your culture, whether it's Spain, Mexico, France, the UK. You make movies that are they're foreign films, European films. They're about the culture, and I've always loved movies outside of America. I like those movies. It's like Americans and Hollywood are embarrassed to make American movies. Justine Bateman has suggested there be a council to make American films, and I think she's talking to Trump about trying to do something to promote movies that promote American culture. And what are you doing by doing that? And you may not know about this, Alan. For example, there is the CFB. What is the CFB? The Canadian Film Board. What do? They fund movies with money from the government to make movies that are Canadian directors, Canadian stories, Canadian actors, and they are made not only for a Canadian audience, but to export the culture. Whether I mean, look, French films or Italian films, they export the culture. Hey, I would love to travel to Italy. I would love to travel to France. You probably saw some French films, but what is it about Hollywood being embarrassed to make American movies? It's baffling. It's baffling.
Yeah, a great example is RRR, a decidedly Indian movie, but
Yes,
had themes in it that Americans can relate to.
100%. So, look, I feel like stop making movies for global audience. What it does is it gentrifies movies, American movies. It gentrifies them. It makes them, let's make them for all people. Oh, I'm frozen again.
Yeah, right.
Don't worry about it. I'll be back.
Yeah, well,
But I'm just saying that like it gentrifies the films and the topics of these movies. So
yeah. Well, I'll close by saying that this story that I brought up just came from the fact that the mainstream media would rather publish a story that is negative toward Trump than actually look and investigate the truth of the situation. You know, the big headline was China is going to ban all U.S. films. This is going to have a devastating effect on Hollywood. What a real journalist would have done is what I did, and go and look at the numbers and just see what is that impact. What is what is pulling out of 2024? What is that impact going to be on the industry? And you realize that China, for a very long time, and to the Rap's credit, they confirm it, for a very long time have not been a player in Hollywood. And that Hollywood is not has as they say long removed China as as budget consideration. Let's go back again. I just want to point out from the chart here that I mean, if you look at it here, China not only does China not is not a player in the game, but their take from the box office is 25%. I'm sorry, is 75%. The studio gets 25% in return, and that's $100 million. You can't even make a Marvel movie with $100 million. So that's where we're at. Just regarding the mainstream media, the reason people don't follow you is because you don't tell the truth. You don't do your due diligence. You just put up headlines that rile the world up without having any facts behind it, and that's what we tried to do here.